you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate it. As always, the Chris Voss Show is a family that loves you but doesn't judge you, at least not as harsh as your family. Because, you know, we always learn from the stories of people and what they share and everything else and some of the different journeys. Life is a map of and fabric of stories. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind. Today we have an amazing young lady on the show. We're going to be talking about her book that came out June 16th, 2023, called Baby Booming America Back Again, Roe versus Wade, Overturned. She's listed in Amazon as the author as I Am the voice in the book Wilson. So if you're searching for it, you'll need to have that data. We're going to be talking today with Nora Wilson. She is a wise soul, young at heart female, author of 12 books, 3 audiobooks. She's the narrator of the book we aforementioned. She is a widow and mother of 9 children. Even though she's written lyrics for many songs for which she sings, she devotes her hand to write at the end of each day, beginning when she was just a teenager. Her enlightenment has been the conceptions of babies for previous publications, and she's written 7 other published books. 3 have been published centered on the public. Welcome to the show. How are you, Nora?
I'm very well, Chris. How about yourself?
I am very well as well. Welcome to the show. Give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the internets?
You can find me on my website at Iamthevoiceinthebook.com, and you can find me on Woman of Wisdom. That's my podcast on Facebook, and that is in the process of having the first show in May. I'm so excited about that, and you can just pick what you want to look at, from books to music.
Okay. All right. Give us a 30,000 overview. What's in this book we're talking about today?
This book, Baby Booming America Back Again, Roe versus Wade Overturned, is a book that will take history, sum it up to where we are today, a society that has lost our way. And when you look at what is ahead, you gotta take that part in the Bible where it says there's a time for all things. There's a season. And in other words, if you do not know about that, what goes up comes down. What goes around, it comes back around. But when it comes back around, it's a vengeance. It's more than what you dish out. The very main thing that gripped me to write this book was just 2 words. America is not the same as Americans. And so I really stretched out 5 years, pouring my heart till I was crying inside, because my book is simply spelling out there comes a time when you diddle and daddle into some serious things when you are inexperienced. And then you find yourself in a situation, me being a mother of 9, I got a bird's eye view of how to look at how your children when they grow up and they leave and they don't necessarily take your advice, and then they come back and want you to tell them how to get out of the situation. Sometimes you can't just abandon ship. Sometimes you got to live what you get into. I've lost 2 sons.
Mm-hmm.
I've been widowed. I've been widowed 3 times. And I said I was not going to get emotional, but I'm going to tell you something. Whenever you write the truth, you don't have to stretch it. And if you don't feel if I don't feel what I wrote about, it's not worth you reading. But I can't hardly contain the emotion when I see not what my children have become, but what these grandchildren, what kind of world are they making for the next 30 years?
Yeah.
What kind of presidents are we going to be expecting? I won't be here in 2060, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to pause.
Okay. Now, what inspired you to write the book? I guess there's a story behind this.
I just about started into that. At the time, 5 years ago, my husband was living, and my husband was a colonel in the Army for 39 years, and big, tall guy, and he's the smartest man that I ever known. And so we was listening to TV, and at the time, President Trump, on his first term, was talking, and he said he was going to make America great again. And sometimes truth hits you in the most simplest way. And I was just caught up in the difference between the word America and Americans. And so I told my husband, he's missing the point. I said, America is the land. And I said, we're paying $2,000 a year cutting down weeds and stuff. I said, Americans are the people. And the people, how do you make them at all? You make them from the womb. And then it dawned upon me the whole picture. I mean, the reason why things is changing, and we change all the time, but the baby boomers from 1946 until 1964, they are retiring. And by 2030, all of the baby boomers, I'm a baby boomer. By 2030, the last or the youngest baby boomers will have reached at least age 65. Whether they will be retired, whether they are in the nursing home or deceased. I go down the street and I see empty homes that was taken care of, lived in by senior citizens. Where are they? And look, I told you I got 9 children. I have 2 homes. How are you gonna how am I gonna leave my home to any of them? And I know they don't want to hear this, but which one am I going to leave my house to for eventually they can't afford to pay the utilities? I'm talking about, I got a bird's eye view, and most women don't have 9 children. In other words, all the tea in China. But if you just now look, I have 9 children. I have 5 daughters and 4 sons, but I've lost 2 of my darling sons. Why? Because of the sons that's being drugged today. The sons that don't want to listen to sound judgments. They don't want to, when they tell you I'm grown when they're 18, I don't need you to tell me anything. And they walk out that door. I've got some wisdom that is not, you can't learn it without having a bunch of children, because children will teach you patience. You gotta wait. I'm gonna tell you. Now look, I've been thrown out of churches, and I was promised I wouldn't be thrown out of this. Let me say this. There are some things a man is going to do. He's going to do what he's going to do. But there's some things he cannot do. And that's what a woman can do. Only a female can bear life.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That is
So
an honor. That's an honor.
Mm-hmm. So what, and I think in the green room, you mentioned there was a story, something about, I believe your daughter became pregnant or was thinking about becoming pregnant. And that was kind of the thing that inspired you to write the book. You started writing a letter to her or something.
That was dopamine at conception beyond.
Oh,
look,
okay. I must have got those mixed up in the green room. Okay. All right.
After I get out of the interview, I still need to have, my baby daughter, she'll be 30 years old this year. And I need to make sure that we have our love between each other. And I can hear her saying, Mama, don't you say nothing about me. But she told me something that just flirted. I'm going to tell you, there's nothing that somebody can tell me that wouldn't shock me good better than my children. Because they got my DNA in them. I expect them to have some things that I would do. But, they are good in shocking me. My daughter told me something one day. She said, Mama, next year this time, you're going to be a grandmother of a little baby boy. Okay. I said, are you pregnant now? She said, no. And so she said, I'm going to get pregnant. I'm going to have a little boy. I done had 9 children, and you can tell me, you still can tell me a lot of things. Because one thing, I'm not saying I'm a teacher, because a teacher cannot tell you too much because she don't know everything. So I was waiting for my daughter to teach me something. How are you going to tell me you're going to have a little boy and you're not even pregnant? But what she told me, I'm not even going to repeat it. But it got me to writing a book, starting out to tell her, do you know that a baby, it deserves your total commitment. It deserves what it's supposed to have. How are you going to have a baby without a father? I mean, don't you got to get close enough for that sperm, even though that sperm jumps out of the man's body and it goes into your body? The man separates from you, but you're not supposed to separate from each other in raising this baby. But so I knew she wasn't going to listen to all that. So I started writing a book. Do you know this is 2025 and she's going to have never mind. I'm going to skip that. But
Okay.
she still hasn't read my book. So I wrote it to the world. Everybody was born to conception, but that's not this book. That is on the shelf. Let's talk about Baby Boom America in Roe versus Wade Overturned.
Are you celebrating what's the context of this? Are you saying that we might go through another baby boom again as America now that Roe versus Wade is overturned?
I'm going to tell you something. When I in my book, okay, I went through World War I, World War II. There's a time for war and a time of peace. We went through the peace, but then we went through the Dust Bowl and the Depression. And then when people finally got home, the men got home, and there was something like 74 million deaths concerning all that, the wars, all right, and everything that contributed to. So when you look at when people finally did get together, I mean, we do more than eating, drinking, and being married. We was having babies. All right, now that is one part I want you to see. That's a war, and then you make babies. Those babies, 74.5 or so estimated babies, was It was a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened? What happened in 73? Look, the laws are supposed to be for the good of the people.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to do wrong, it's to guide you so that you, not just you, but everybody can live together with this law. But Norma McCarthy, she wasn't happy. And a lot of us aren't. But
Mm-hmm.
she got married, and that didn't make her happy because marriage don't make you happy. Having sex don't make you happy.
Oh, wait,
And
hold
getting
on. What?
high, getting high don't make, look, I gotta be comical because dealing with children, you
Sure,
have
yeah.
to have something to laugh.
Definitely do.
Well, anyway, I've never drank, never smoked, and like that. And I've been told, well, Nora, you need a little bit of something to calm yourself down. Look, I am all right. You hear me? I'm all right. For 73 years old, I am all right. Now, so when you look at the fact that you can't find outside what is in here, and I got to put this part, if you can look at, and this might seem like I'm getting off the subject, but I can't explain it. No, I can't tie this in any better way. If you look at a battery in your car, it's got two posts, positive and a negative. You can't name me anything, Chris, that does not have two sides to it. Everything. So a baby comes in this world with two sides. His mother out of 346 million people in this world, there's only one that is his father and his mother. Now, anybody else, you are disconnected from that child. And that child, he's going to act terrible. He's going to be selfish, demanding, and greedy with the parents. So the only way you can deal with that child, you better realize you got some DNA in that child and start finding out how to use that remote control to deal with your DNA that's in that child. So Norma McCarthy didn't have that loving mother and father. And a child is not told what love is. It is demonstrated what love is. My daddy was married to my mom. They had 3 children. But when she got pregnant with me, she told Daddy, John, I'm that way again. And he said, I don't want no more of them things. I told you I didn't want no more of them things. He called me a thing. My mama told me that I carried that all down through my life. My daddy gave me his words left an impression on my life. And so children not only learn what they live, but they watch. They watch you. You are as a mother and father. So my story, it got to me. It hurt me because I realized all of my children, let me say this. I believe in marriage, but marriage is just like a fishing license. They will issue you a license, but it don't guarantee you no fish.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't ask you, are you going to live together when you get this license? They don't care. It's just so you can file taxes together. Now, look, you can't file taxes together unless you are family related. That is, marriage license is of man. It's other people, by the people, for the people, and they sure enough don't care what you do. Okay, just get the license. So when it comes down to it, what hurt me so bad, Chris, was I was looking at my children. Charity does begin at home if you got any charity at all.
Sure.
But if you look at your charity, when I look at my children and how I believed in going to church, I believe in being a virgin. I believe when the Bible says that when a man finds a wife, he's to find her in the nightclub. He's to find her on the corner,
Uh-huh.
bumming a right. No, he's to find her in her father's care.
Hmm.
If she lose that virginity,
Hmm.
oh, that's street. When I got married, I was a virgin and so was he. But
Hmm.
we were not in love. But we stayed together. We believed in having a house and all. I still got that house. Still
Hmm.
got the house. Had all 9 of my children in the house. But what I'm saying is, I could not be the best mama that I was supposed to be because I wasn't with the man that I was spiritually supposed to be joined. See, I'm a spirit. You are a spirit in your body. I can't
Hmm.
see you, but I'm going to tell you something. Just between, and I guess it's not between you and I because it's,
It's between the audience, yeah.
yeah, but I'm going to tell you this. Um, we got a pretty good vibe going. I
Hmm.
feel very comfortable. But that don't mean that we're supposed to run off and make some babies together.
You
You
already
still,
have 9.
yeah, but I'm gonna tell you what people do not really. Young people, look, old people just. It's too many subjects I'm going through, and young people are the ones that need to listen because the Bible says a child must honor their father and their mother. Where in the world where are they at?
Hmm.
And this is something else when it comes down to we got 346 million people, but out of that number, 75% of the babies being conceived are being conceived with by women that are females that are 18 between 18 and 19 years of age. Now look, out of that 346 million population, there's 22 million millionaires. Now, it's very rare to have a millionaire in the United States that's 20 years of age and younger. There's one, whether people like him or not, Donald Trump was a multimillionaire when he was 8 years old. And look, even though he had several children by different wives, look at them. I got 4 sons. If I told them, if I told them I wanted them to come for an important something, Mama, I got something I got to do, Mama. Mama, I ain't into all that. I'm talking about a man in the Bible is supposed to rule his household, but you got to be a man, and you got to give respect that you are a spirit, and your spirit's got to be joined, not just and it's just so much that we do not know. We don't know nothing. And so you got these 18-year-olds. Oh, hold on. No disrespect to you. Let me say this. You got these 18-year-old and 19-year-old females that don't have $1 million. They got a Mickey D job. They just finished high school, hopefully. So they don't have a career going for them. And they don't have their own house. So what in the world are they going to give a baby? I had my first baby when I was 20 years old. And my husband, at that time, we had a house and all that. He was making $75 every 2 weeks. We were scraping. But I'm going to tell you, that was financially, we was poor. But you got to have more than money. Money don't buy love. It don't make babies.
Hmm. So you, in the book, you refer to ecclesiastics for several different references. The U.S. history, the baby boomers. How would that fit into ecclesiastics? And I guess you cite that in the book. Is that correct?
Yes. There is a time for every purpose under the heaven. Even the seasons, okay, come in through time, a certain time. The animals are ruled by their instinct. It's like this. we are not supposed to be going by instinct, rooting just because it's springtime like the rabbits, okay? But it looks like when you wake up in the morning, it's that time, that dream didn't quite finish. So you go find somebody when you go to school and go in the restroom or whatever. There's babies that's been conceived in the bathrooms. And you're not, so anyway, it's the thing about it, when you get to the point that you are 30 and 40 years old, oh, you know some things now, but look how much damage you've done to children. So in my book, I was taking them through the course of time, how you can see there was wars, and then there was a baby boom, and then these children that was born from the baby boomers, how they just partied and lived a good time. And now that when those babies that was aborted 50 years ago, they're not here. And we are short of babies right now. And it's just like, and the Bible's talking about the parable of the fig tree. If a tree is supposed to bear fruit and it don't bear fruit, what's the purpose of it? Just standing there looking cute with leaves. It's going to take more than looking good. It's going to take more than shaking your behind. It's going to take more than being a movie star and an actor. We need medical professional people, okay, by 2050 and 60. Where are they going to come from? If history repeats itself like it does, look at the people laying out on the ground like they got the sick cow disease. And some of them have gone to college. And in the Bible, it says there's going to come a time that knowledge will fail you. They just want to have fun. Mm-hmm. So where are we at right now? Mm-hmm. The older people, the baby boomers, we're not even going to be here when this stuff hits the fan by 2060. But I'm talking about if you have children, I'm talking about your grandchildren. Oh my goodness. We've got to, the babies that are born in 2022 until 2032, that's 10 years. They got to be conceived. They got to grow. They got to be born. And you got to make sure the homicides that's going on now, that they don't continue to be killed, the children being killed. Picked up the newspaper, babies being horribly burnt and killed and all that. All right, and then they got to go to school, not past high school. I'm talking about they got to be educated. Okay, and then they got to go and find that job placement. That's how you make Americans great again. It starts in the womb. There you go. So let me say this. Basically, we got 85% of women in the childbearing age from 15 to 45 years of age. And only 70% of those women go to church, sing in the choir. They're saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Spirit, but they got this device that they started out experimenting on camels. You stick this plastic thing up in the womb to keep them from having babies. Okay, in other words, there's 70% of the 85% of women between 15 and 45 that can have babies, they don't want no babies. They're practicing birth control. All right, so you got 18% of women in America from that 70% that is not using birth control, don't have their tubes tied, dyed, and clipped and burnt and laid to the side. Now, of those few women, 18%, and since history repeats itself, the homicides, children don't want to go to school, uneducated, if that continues, okay, in 2050, that means out of those 18% of females, if they get pregnant, who's to say they wouldn't have an abortion? How many?
Mm-hmm.
That may drop down to 70%. And say, like, out of so many pregnancies, there's like 1 out of 5 pregnancy that you have a miscarriage. So I'm saying we got probably about 10% of the population to populate and run America in 2060. Now that that right there is something that you can think about.
So as you round out the half hour, let's get your final pitch on the show for how people can pick up the book, how they can reach out to you on your website. Give us the .com so they can do that one more time, and give people your final pitch to buy the book off of all the things.
Again, my name is Nora Wilson, and my website, you can go to Nora. My email is nora@iamthevoiceinthebook.com, and my website is Iamthevoiceinthebook.com. You can go to see my podcast, and that is Woman of Wisdom Podcast on Facebook, starting in May. And I do have some songs. I tend to speak from the insight that I've been given spiritually. I mean, everybody's got some kind of form that some mama, daddy, or somebody then told them. But when you go through your problems, your mom and daddy can't help you. You need to have something within you, insight, to help you make it.
Thank you for your insights and writing the book. It's definitely something people should be talking about. What the future is. It'd be kind of cool if there was another baby boom, because we need more people in the workforce, definitely. So thank you very much for coming to the show. We really appreciate it, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Chris, for having me.
Thank you. And thanks, audience, for tuning in. Order the book wherever fine books are sold, out June 16th, 2023. Baby Booming America. Back again, Roe versus Wade overturned. Thanks, audience, for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss, one of the TikTokity, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. And that should have us out.